Welcome to the Flirty Blog. I'm Stacy Tamaki, and today I wanted to share with you my trip to Toronto, Canada. We went for two reasons, one to visit family and friends, and to do the EdgeWalk at the top of the CN Tower, which we did. The following day, we went back down to the tower to use the total tour pass that comes along with your EdgeWalk ticket. So we hopped on a subway and we headed back into downtown Toronto. When we got there, we walked a couple blocks from the train station and met up with my friend Chris, who went with us to go back up to the top of the tower. We started at the glass floor level, which is exactly what it sounds like. The guys had fun jumping up and down on the glass. Me, I just started with my toes over the edge, was absolutely terrified. Chris did his best to kind of, loosen me up and get me into a more fun mood, showed me how you can just lie on the ground. This is the closest I got, but he at least got me smiling again. And all I could think was it would be a lot easier to do if I had the same safety harness on that I had the day before when I was out on the edge. The one drawback about this level is that you don't get an unobstructed view because of the safety precautions with the bars and the mesh, but I pushed my camera right up to the mesh and was able to get some really nice shots of the waterfront and the financial district. After that, we headed up to the lookout level, which is completely surrounded in glass, and there is one smaller restaurant there called the Horizons restaurant. We didn't eat there or at the restaurant on the next level, which is the 360 restaurant. The level above the 360 is the edge walk that we had done the day before, where we walked around the outer edge of the main pod of the CN Tower. Instead, we headed straight up to the SkyPod level, which is at the top of the tower. We had to wait in line and take the tiniest elevator I've ever been in to get to that glass level, which is where when we did the edge walk, we could look up and see people looking down at us, and they could see us from up above. So we were all waving back and forth at each other, which I thought was pretty funny, and I just wanted to see the perspective from above. After a while, we grabbed the glass bottom elevator and headed back down to ground level. I speeded up the video for you because it takes quite a while to get back down from the top. We headed out to lunch and went to a place called the Lone Star Texas Grill, where I ended up ordering this huge plate of nachos. I took the extras with me because I hate throwing food away. Chris got this really funny picture of me eating my nachos, so then I had to take a funny picture of him eating his quesadillas. Then we split up with Dwayne and John, who were headed to this office to pick up a passport that John had renewed on Friday, and Chris took me for more sightseeing for another hour. We started at the Royal York, which is a Fairmont hotel that the Queen stays at when she's in Toronto, and then walked over to this big gold glass building and caught this funny picture of ourselves in the reflection of one of the windows. He took me to this really beautiful building that had this indoor atrium and a gorgeous piece of artwork that went straight up the wall from the floor to the ceiling of blown glass. He showed me a restaurant that he thought I would enjoy, and I definitely want to go there the next time I go to Toronto. And because he was being such a great tour guide, I posed for all kinds of touristy pictures for him. He took me by the Hockey Hall of Fame because of the sculptures out front. He wanted to get a picture of me tucked in between some of the players. So that's me actually posing for tourist pictures, which I normally don't do. He showed me this really neat iron building where the front is more narrow than the back, so it's shaped like an iron. And then he took me to get a mocha at the Second Cup coffee shop, which is where I had my first ever iced soy mocha with no whipped cream. I discovered it's my favorite mocha drink of all. From there, he walked me back down to one of the subway stations with my token in hand, and I was able to meet back up with John and Dwayne at a subsequent stop. That night for dinner, I had my first Hero Veggie Burger, which as it turns out, I loved even more than the Harvey's burger that I thought was my favorite Canadian veggie burger. First thing the next morning, we headed to the airport from Minnesota. On Dwayne's suggestion, I tried a Tim Hortons iced cappuccino, which was great, and I had a Timbit apple fritter donut hole for breakfast. along with my leftover nachos from lunch the day before. That wrapped up our trip to Toronto. We had a great time in Aurelia, visiting family. John pointed out Nanaimo bars in the wild, as he called it, at a grocery store. And just look at the sunrise. How can you not love the sunrise? We went to London, Ontario to visit with one of John's best friends and some of his extended family. I saw this cute little chipmunk, the first time I've ever seen one in the wild. We spent a day in a really cool park. We went to a state fair and just did all kinds of things while we were there. Then we headed to Toronto, where we did our EdgeWalk. And I have to say, it was really a cool experience, once in a lifetime. As much fun as it was, a real highlight for me was meeting my friend Chris in person. And I really appreciated him taking the time off and showing me around and helping to give me a brand new perspective of what Toronto is like. Because the last time I was there, hubby dragged me around in the rain for a day and I wasn't a happy camper. So if you ever have the opportunity to go to Canada, I say go, have a great time exploring your way around, meeting new people, and just trying something new. Thanks for stopping by.